Hey everybody, it's Caleb Crewy here with Caleb Crewy Reports and Predicts. Um, like I said a couple of videos ago, one of the videos I'd like to do is on the Liberal Democrat leadership election in the United Kingdom. Um, and since I said I wanted to do that, they're going to delay it from 2020 to 2021 because of coronavirus. But I still think it's important to kind of go over this and kind of give everybody a basis. And next year, there will be some more. Um, I'll cover it more. Really, the big things that I want to hit about are the contenders and kind of a broader discussion of the Liberal Democrats as a whole and kind of their role in UK politics. So, real quick, just a synopsis. So, the Liberal Democrats in the UK are they're left of center, but they're not socialists like that's the Labor Party. So in America, they would be similar to a lot of establishment Democrats would fall into the liberal Democrats. Actually, a majority probably of the American uh, Democratic Party, of course, like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, they would not. They would be Labor Party members. But so that's just kind of a good example of a trade-off there. So they believe in capitalism and kind of the free market, but they believe with a little bit more government intervention. And when it comes to social issues, of course, they're uh, very far to the left. And and so what happened is this last election, they had a leader, Jo Swinson, and she lost her seat. And the Liberal Democrat says you have to be a member of Parliament in order to be the leader. So right now, Ed Davey, who ran for leadership back in 2019, he lost. So but he has become the deputy leader with Mark Pack. So really, what we're going to go over is the election rules real quick. So the election rules are that the running of the uh, election is it's based on their constitution and it's an instant runoff, like I explained with the labor leadership. You have your number one choice, and so it's a ranked choice system. You just rank who you like, and when your person gets eliminated, your next choice, then those votes get reallocated. Um, what they require is that you have the backing of one member of parliament because it's 10% of the parliamentary party. And you need to be supported by 200 members across at least 20 different local um, constituency parties. So the current declared candidates is Vera Hobhouse. She is a member for Bath. Um, She's a German immigrant, and she is currently the energy spokesperson for the Liberal Democrats. Then the other big name that's in so far is Layla Moran. She's the member for Oxford West and Abingdon. Um, Her father is also I believe, a diplomat. She is the education spokesperson. She's made a lot of news. Her and her ex-boyfriend or ex-husband, they had a lot of marital issues that was coming up. She's recently come out as pansexual, then said she was in a relationship with another woman. So she's made all kinds of news. And then she announced that she was running. The Home Secretary from Edinburgh West, while their shadow Home Office Women's Equality spokesperson, Christine Jardine, uh, she was going to declare, but then, of course, the coronavirus, but she is expected to announce. And two other potential one is the interim leader Ed Davey, and the other one is Daisy Cooper, and she is the digital media and sport and culture spokesperson, and she ran Jo Swinson, the former leader's leadership campaign against Ed Davey, and she's the member for St. Albans. But declined is there's a couple people that declined, but the big one is Tim Farron, who was the leader back in 2015. Um, So now let's kind of discuss the importance of the Lib Dems. They used to be a lot more important than they are now. At one point, the Lib Dems they dissolved in the 80s from the Liberal Party. They were originally the Liberal Party, which back in the 1800s and the early 1900s uh, had a lot of power in the UK and actually was in power um, at certain times. But then what ended up happening was the Labor Party really took their power from on the left, and they kind of didn't have any power, and they dissolved in the 80s and reformed as the Lib Dems. Since then, the Lib Dems kind of peaked. Um, they have an average of in the between 30 and 60 seats since their existence until a little bit more recently. But in 2001, for example, they had 62 seats under Charles Kennedy, um, or 52 seats in 2001. The peak was 62 seats, and then in 2010 they peaked at 52 seats, but 23% of the vote. So they really underperformed their vote share. But on top of that, in 2010, they were actually in government. So people like Joe Swinson and some of the older Lib Dems people were actually in government. Now, other than Davey, most of these candidates are new. So they're not from when they were in government, and the Lib Dems kind of suffered from being in government because their left voter share was not for some of the austerity measures and policies that they supported with David Cameron while they were in coalition government with David Cameron and the Conservatives. So, what is the Lib Dems' future going on? Well, they this last election, for example, in 2019, they did get 12% of the vote, so they're trying to increase their vote share again. They only won 11 seats. The interesting thing about the Lib Dems is they occupy this space, this kind of niche electorate, and with kind of this rise in populism that we've seen across Europe and definitely in the UK, I think it's really a lot harder for them because you have people on the left like um, Rebecca Long Bailey and Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell that are pushing and getting the left of the country to say, okay, this is our vision, and it's very different than what the vision of the Lib Dems are, and it's very hard to see them in coalition. Like, it's hard to imagine that Rebecca Long Bailey, for example, became leader of the Labour Party, and she got very close, but she needed to go in coalition, and she needed the Lib Dems. It's really hard to kind of line up a lot of their views. It actually would be easier, at least on the economic uh, reasonings. Now, some social issues, yes, but so it's harder for them. At least it had been in the past harder for them to go in coalition with the Labor Party, and they've had when they were the Liberal Party towards the end, they had opportunities to do that in the 70s. They didn't do it. Um, they had the opportunity, but now Tony Blair, for example, that's what he thinks the future for the left is a coalition between the Lib Dems and the Labor Party. Tony Blair is the former Labor Prime Minister. I don't know how true that is, but that's kind of a view that he has had for a long time. So the Lib Dems kind of have this really niche position, so I'm not sure if they'll be able to move forward from that unless the Labor Party just absolutely implodes, which it's not. It's probably not going to happen. So that's just a little information on them. I used Wikipedia today, and I hate using Wikipedia, but I do think that Wikipedia is a really good way to kind of give overviews. Um, so going forward this week, I'm going to have at least 2 opinion videos out. So if you guys would like to like and subscribe, it would mean a lot. And to follow my content, and you can check me out on Facebook, Caleb Curry Reports and Predicts. You can also check out my blog post, and my blog post is www.calebcurry.wordpress.com. And I recently actually have a post up there. It's called Why the Working Class Voters Have Abandoned the Left. So you guys can check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you'll have a great day.